Now, the assassination attempt on Donald Trump has prompted fresh concerns over the safety of members of parliament in this country, with Commons Speaker Sir Lindsay Hoyle having previously said that the issue keeps him awake at night. Well, let's discuss this story and more with GB News' political editor, Chris Hope, who joins me in the studio. Chris, welcome back to the show. An astonishing situation on live television. Those images, millimetres away from death, Donald Trump saying, "I should be dead. This is a miracle." And now rapidly the conversation swings to the safety of our politicians in Britain.
That's right. Lord Walney, formerly known as John Woodcock, a former Labour MP, now crossbench peer, he's warned in terms about the threat to MPs, candidates and the like in this country. He said that he thinks that an assassination attempt is more likely in this country. He's written to Yvette Cooper, the Home Secretary, warning of a dark underbelly of abuse. He's warned about often female Labour candidates standing in seats where there's strong opposition to the party's stance on Gaza. Intimidation, he has said, was used as a core electoral strategy to either try to get candidates defeated or bully them into submission. Now, this is all relevant because of what we saw over the weekend in the States with that attempt to kill Donald Trump late on Saturday, UK time. That has focused minds here. Today, we hear from Number 10 that the Home Office is now talking to candidates, MPs, about their experiences. That may lead to some future crackdown or some way of dealing with people putting pressure on candidates, because in our country we have no history of gun use, and that's to be applauded, I think. But there is a concern about where this goes, and across the board, all parties are trying to just take the heat out of political discourse post the election.
And I'm covering for Nigel Farage tonight on the 7 to 8 show. I'll have Lord Walney on the show to talk about this.
That's a great guest.
Yeah, thank you. He's talking about a full review of the environment, an urgent review around Whitehall. He said it's a very, very toxic, dangerous environment. And of course, it's already happened here. David Amos was assassinated. Joe Cox, likewise. And he says the threat is real. Now, meanwhile, Nigel Farage is flying out to America to be with Donald Trump at this moment. Nigel Farage himself was the subject of incredible abuse, nowhere near this level.
He wrote passionately in today's Daily Telegraph about why people find it funny when he has a milkshake thrown on him or someone chucks rubble at him or bricks or stones, whatever it was. Why is it funnier because of who I am, because of Nigel Farage being who he is, and maybe you don't agree with his politics? That could be anything in that liquid on him. It could be acid, as in fact he says there. Someone on the BBC said, joked about it, apparently joked about it. It's not funny if you're Nigel Farage. He's crucially, whether he flies off to the States ahead of the coronation of Donald Trump as the Republican candidate in this November's US elections. I think him going there, I find fascinating. I know he's going there because he's very close friends with Donald Trump. But also, it's going to, if Trump wins in November, as looks likely according to the polls, there'll be two different, in parallel, special in relationships, in quotes, between UK and US, one more special than the other. The one we know about is the corporate relationship UK-US, in administration in Washington and London. The more interesting one, which could be really, really interesting, is the personal one between Trump and Farage, and that's the one I think we'll see him use to effect if Trump wins next year.
You know what's fascinating about that, Chris, is that in that piece, Nigel wrote about all the journalists, all the activists, the celebrities who've been comparing Donald Trump to Hitler, as a fascist, as a Nazi, as a KKK sympathiser. Nigel said that kind of sentiment put wind in the sails of this assassin. David Lammy was one of the individuals who was using such language about Donald Trump. He's now the Foreign Secretary. What does that mean, do you think, about Nigel's individual special relationship with Nigel Farage? Could he be the bridge, as you said earlier, between Britain and America?
Yeah, a wobbly rope bridge, I call it, rather than the 3-lane highway, which is the corporate relationship. But I think you may find it a better intel going across that bridge. David Lammy, of course, said remarks back in 2018, 2021 about Donald Trump, which he does regret. I think he regrets anyway. And he would say, look, back then, everyone on the left was piling in on Trump. I do think it showed naivety on the behalf of Lammy, someone who might end up being a foreign secretary Secretary to find himself in a position where he's got things which might damage our corporate relationship as a country with our most important ally. He's going to regret that. Of course, Farage himself has told me for our interview before the election how he helped engineer Lammy's team to get closer to Trump's team. So I'm not sure Lammy wants to say thank you for that.
Do you think, though, that might be a conduit? Like an Olympic, Nigel Farage is closest to Donald Trump than anybody in the Labour Party.
I will say they are looking right now for a replacement for Dame Karen Pierce, who is the UK ambassador in Washington. Now, we're told that choice won't be made until the result of the election is known in late November. I'm pretty sure we're going to find, we call it now, we're going to have Nigel Farage having a veto over who that person is if Trump wins, and that could be fascinating.
Astonishing.
An informal veto, but a veto all the same because of a relationship with Trump.
Amazing stuff, Chris Hope. That is food for thought. Always a pleasure. Thank you very much for joining us.